You are in for such an amazing episode. I had the opportunity to connect with a very dear friend of mine. He's been my friend for over 25 years. He has had the most intense healing journey, and I can't wait for him to share it with you. But more importantly, he's one of the amazing speakers at our upcoming Life After Loss virtual retreat, which will be taking place this month, September 17th through the 20th. I want to personally invite you to learn more about from him and be able to ask him burning questions in his Q&A session. There will also be a VIP event where he'll be talking to us about taboo talks during grief, where we take a deeper dive and discuss areas around grief that no one wants to talk about. Murder, suicide, drug overdose. So be sure to take a moment and click the link in the description below and find out more about the free ticket to the Life After Loss virtual retreat. Friends, welcome back. We're back with Ken Guidroz on part 3. He and I both strongly felt moved to continue on this conversation, and I love that we're doing this. We want to talk about the spiritual aspects in grief. And it's really, I think this is really cool that this is coming up right now. I just posted a TikTok about the emotional release, just releasing the emotions. And someone just came on there and said, hold on to Jesus, put all your faith in Jesus and it'll help you through. And Ken, I'm opening with that because this is it. A lot of people want to give us that advice when we're so down and broken. And number one, some of us aren't Christians. Number two, a lot of us are Christians, but a lot of us are looking at God going, dude, you said you were going to protect me here, right? The third one is like, for example, like with my sister Erica, she loses Austin Drowns in 2006. In 2015, I'm calling her back to tell her that Donovan has died in a motorcycle accident. And one of her first comments to me was, I already gave one. How is he doing this again? So there's times in our grief that we start to question our walk. We question our faith. We question our Bible and our reliability on God. And so we really want to get into that. So my first question to you is, were there low moments? And what was the lowest moment that you had with God?
Well, you hit it on the head because you do look to God. And yes, sometimes you accuse. I'm not the accusing type. Personally, for me, it was just dismay. It was just utter. I just went silent, right? I didn't want to shake my fist at God. Yeah. And some people are bold enough or just whatever. They have the personality to do that. It's like, you let me down. Yeah. I just felt like, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
And I just went silent. I went numb with God and stopped going to church, couldn't open my Bible. Really didn't pray. I did hang on to a verse a day. I've got that app that pops up right on my computer, so I'd at least read a verse. And I tried a church here and there. We quit the old church that you and I were part of after a while, and then I tried some church hopping. It didn't work, so I thought, okay, I'm going to take a church sabbatical, for a year or so. So we did that. And then we tried a couple local places, and I just felt like it felt off. I just did not feel right and didn't feel good at all. So then we sabbaticalized even more. And it was very numb is the only word I can think of, very numb at that time. But then somebody told me about a place called Reality LA down in Hollywood. It was this church and the music, they said, was incredible. So I thought, well, I'm going to try it. And I went there, and the auditorium's in the complete dark during the music, and the band is in the dark. They have little reading lights for their music, but so the whole auditorium's dark, and the instrumentality, the band's incredible. It's not rock, it's not hard, clangy rock and roll. It's really good music, really good music. Kind of Mumford & Sons. I don't know if you know them. That kind of a vibe, a little bit of a Americana vibe, and really beautiful lyrics. And Joyce came with me the first time or two, and I started getting this tug, like this very emotional feeling when this music's going, but she kind of didn't dig it. So I said, well, screw it, I'm going by myself. And I just went down there by myself and I start this pilgrimage. And Sharon, I start giving myself to the music and the lyrics. And I start crying like a baby during these spiritual songs. And remember, nobody can see me, and I'm purposely not sitting near anybody. It's about 500 people in this auditorium, but I'm finding it beautifully dreadful.
Yeah.
Like dreadful as hell, but in a beautiful way, right? Just weeping and just connecting with God. Now, this is terrible to say. The preaching, it was very hard to listen to.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the preaching itself. The guy was fine.
Yeah.
But it was just the idea of somebody up there pointing his finger. And that's how it felt to me.
Yeah.
And Sharon, it got so bad. This is terrible to admit. I actually left during the sermon. Yeah, I would see the guy at the back of the stage start walking up. I would duck out, go to my car, set my alarm on my phone for 40 minutes. Yes. I couldn't hear it. I was like, I'm here for the music.
Yeah.
I know maybe the sermon is the price of admission. That's kind of I tried to talk myself into it. I just couldn't hear it. And again, nothing wrong with him. It was just preaching. This idea of even that word preaching. Just you're telling me something.
Yeah.
And you know, every preacher is a little bit pushy and a little bit, I think pretty much 99% of them to me are, you know, full of, maybe not full of themselves. That's derogatory. They're just a little too confident. And I'm just not so sure that they really know that they're quite as certain as they should be. But anyway, I don't want to criticize. For me, I couldn't handle it. I just couldn't handle it. And so I went for the music, and the music brought things out of me that I never knew were in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now,
there was a point, I don't remember how far along, but I think it was maybe after the Dexter letter when Luke was in prison, maybe after some other mishap or bad thing that happened. I don't remember what it was. I was feeling extra melancholy. And I was up close to the front of the auditorium, and I remember this lyric came on, something like, I am who you say I am, or something affirmative, an affirmation like that, or God is my refuge, or something like that. And I just got tears coming down my face. And I remember seeing it thinking, like, I had to look up. So I must have been close up. I looked up and I said to myself, I believe that. I actually believe that. And it was like I glommed onto this affirmation and I sang it. I sang it with vigor. God is my refuge. And I don't know, it was that moment when I said this, you know, I said, my life may not look even remotely like a Christian life. You know, if you look at the fruit or whatever you want to call it, it's not even in the ballpark of a Christian. But frankly, I don't care.
Yeah.
I believe that. I don't know what that means. I believe. And I don't know anything else. I don't know anything else. But that I can hold on to. And it may not sound significant, but for me, it was significant too.
Yeah.
Have that moment where it didn't matter what all this stuff in your life looked like. You know, you could accept that.
Yeah.
And that was the turning point for me spiritually. Because then I could say, you know what? Screw it. Here's my life. Here's all the horrible things about my parenting and my family and all my, you know. Okay. It's now it's in the public. It's just out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But God, you, I dig. You, even though all this stuff is gone, you, I still love. You kind of mystifying me at this point. You kind of screwing with my head, but I dig you. I dig you.
Yeah.
I know that sounds so weird to say it that way.
No.
I did. I was like, I love God and I can be with God. And even if it's not, even if it doesn't turn my life around or give me all this fruit or blessings, I want one thing in life. I did want to stay married. So that was
Yeah.
there. But the second thing I want, the first thing really that I want is I want to be with God and whatever that looks like. So that was it. That was the turning point for me. And the music somehow brought it out of me.
So it was the music that actually healed you, not the sermon or the preaching that we would think you would need. And I guess that's also where I'm getting to with for me, Austin dies. I'm gone for 2 weeks. I come back to church like just anxious to get back to church because I know all my brothers and sisters are going to guide me and lead me. And, they all came and it was, giving me the scriptures, which I think is very intellectual because when
Oh
someone
yeah.
walks up to you and says, read chapter, they're
Oh
actually
yeah.
going to your brain and your brain's not broken. What's absolutely broken is your heart. So
Good
I can
point.
distinctly remember, and I'll never forget this, standing in the back of the church and a sister standing next to me. She never said a word. She just put her arm on my shoulder and I cried through every song.
There you go.
And I didn't go there for the scriptures. I wanted to be there because I felt like it was my home and I
Right.
needed that. Plus, I needed to be away from my family by that point. I needed my brothers and sisters in Christ. But what they were giving me, I didn't need that.
Yeah. Because the head's not broken, the heart's
Yeah,
broken.
the head is not
And
broken.
come on, what attends to the heart more than music?
Yeah,
What attends to the heart more than music? At least
yeah,
for me,
yeah,
it it is the salve, right?
yeah,
It's the medicine for me. Even today, even though I'm happy and everything is so much better, it
yeah,
doesn't matter. I still listen to emotional Christian music and
yes.
I still cry. There's a song right now, just yesterday. I I was tooling around the garage, the song came on my earbuds. The weekend is when I listen to Christian music, Saturday
Oh,
and Sunday. Hillsong United, the absolute best. Pandora Station, Hillsong United. That one song came on, and I went outside, and the sun was setting. I raised my hands.
yeah,
I was like, I just
yeah,
praised God in this. I looked at the blue sky, and it was so beautiful,
beautiful.
so beautiful, with my hand palms open to the heavens,
Yeah.
and it was like, I don't know, like a connection to the Almighty.
I love that it came to you through the beauty of the music. For the average griever, it's almost like they come upon this grieving experience, and it's like if you could picture the ugliest monster ever. I mean, he's 7 foot tall, he's green, he's got spikes, he drools, he's got these big giant eyes. His name is grief, and he's trying to get in your door. For the average griever, we resist it and we push back on that. And we
Mm.
push back on that door. We don't want grief coming in. One, no one ever told us we needed to allow it. Two, we don't want to let it in. And so we push back and we resist. We resist letting the emotions in. But what you're explaining to us is that through the music, you were able to allow it.
Yeah. And I wasn't consciously resisting, but I was resisting it.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
music
It's
was the
not a
conduit.
conscious thing. Yeah, I agree with you.
It
It's
was
not a
the
conscious thing.
conduit. It brought me to
Yeah.
what you're saying there, where I let the
Oh,
monster
yeah.
in, and I hung out with the monster for a
Yeah.
while. I
Oh,
did
yeah.
for weeks, months, and that was the experience.
Yes.
The turning point wasn't really. It was dramatic in a way, but it was a very slow evolution. But yeah, the monster, at least for men, I think too, that men, I don't know, they just they they make it, they antiseptize it. That's not a word, but they numb it. They don't really admit
Yeah.
it.
Well, we've been told that. You stop that crying. Are you a big boy or are you a baby?
Yeah.
We've been told that since day one, Ken. We've been told we don't let that in. Okay, friends, let's take a brief break right here. I want to share something with you. If you're grappling with the heavy weight of long term grief, the kind that feels like it's consuming every part of your life, And now that I say that, what grief doesn't feel like it's consuming every part of your life? I'm talking about the pain of losing someone you love that's affecting your zest for life, your energy, your relationships with your spouse, your parents, or your children. As a grief specialist, I want you to know that you're not alone on this healing journey. Grief can cast a long shadow, but there's a path for healing. There is a true path for healing. And I've designed something very special for you. I want you to take a look at you, the griever. My partner, Joy Renique of Celebrate Legacy, and I have curated a transformative 3-day retreat, especially for those who are suffering from grief after the loss of a loved one. Anyone trying to move towards healing. The best part is, it is completely free. The virtual retreat is called Life After Loss, and we've assembled a remarkable team of experts who truly understand your pain, your heartache, and your longing for healing. They are also true grievers, and they've been on this journey before you. They're not going to only share from their own experience, but they're going to give you a safe place to grieve. And they will educate you about the grieving healing journey and give you actionable steps to move towards healing. I will also be speaking at this event. And the topic of my subject is, does grief have an end? Don't let grief continue to hold you back. Take the courageous step towards healing right now. Just click the button, the link that I have in the show notes, to get your free ticket to the retreat. Your journey to healing begins with a single click. I can't wait to meet you virtually at the retreat, where together we'll take these first steps toward a brighter future. You can also head over to grieflegacy.net/retreat or click the link below in this podcast description to save your free tickets. Your path to healing is just a click away, my friend. How were your other church friends? How I'm calling them brothers and sisters. How did they show up for you?
I'll be honest, Sharon, I cut them out of my life. They didn't show up because I didn't let them. Again, I didn't really want to talk to anybody. I know that's probably super unhealthy, but for me, Sharon, I didn't want to talk to anybody. There was one friend, Vince, Vince spoke. Vince was with me the longest, but even I felt like I wore him out with my grief. I feel like I just completely, and here's the guy that's most with me, he's most patient, most has the same story. And I even run him off. And I was like, screw it. I don't need anybody. I don't want anybody. I'm going to run every friend off. Pretty soon I'm going to run my wife off. I'm going to run God off. I'm just going to I'm just a mess. No, so I just, they didn't show up only because I didn't let them. And just for me, Sharon, I just didn't want them or need them.
Yeah.
I needed to come to some point of resurrection myself.
Yes.
And again, I didn't plan it. I'm just saying, even now, I'll be honest, I'm 63. I don't have many people in my life. I don't want many people in my life.
Yeah.
Not that way.
Yeah.
And that may be bad, but I have a few friends. Vince and I, by the way, have reconnected in this beautiful way. Yeah. He's my bud. He in some ways, Vince is my brother, my brother in a capital B sense, right?
Yeah.
You have your sister.
Yeah.
Probably somebody, maybe a handful of sisters, true sisters, capital S sisters. I bet you do. I have a couple brothers, capital B brothers. I'm developing one. He's in Canada. When I actually baptized him many years ago. He's an amazing guy. And Vince, or kind of, I don't know. I know it's bad, but I want to help people. And
I hear you 100%. I'm actually where you are. Okay. So I hear you 100%. I don't, no judgment. Trust me, brother, no judgment. So when Austin dies, I made a conscious decision in my mind. And this is my thought. I kid you not. I can lean on God or I can turn from God. Because I was like, God, I literally was like, God, this child was 10 years old. How did he drown? I'm a good person. We're a good family. We feed the poor. We're the pillars, here. And I decided to lean on him, and I looked for him in every aspect as we were going through the funeral process. That was me. And I have permission to share the story, so I'm going to share it. Brittany had just got baptized. She was 17 years old. And she couldn't fathom a God that would allow a 10-year-old child to drown. And she really turned. She really turned, and with anger.
Mm.
What advice do you give to the person that's there to making that decision? What advice do you give to them?
That's a great question. Sharon, I think you gotta feel the grief. I think you gotta
Yeah.
go there. You've got
Yeah.
to. The music let me go there. I know. This is crazy. You and I would not be having this conversation if it wasn't for Christian music in a dark auditorium where I could cry. That
Yeah.
we wouldn't. I wouldn't be a healed person.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah.
I'd be a stunted individual who hadn't processed his grief. I think you just have to go there. And again,
Yeah.
if you're a shake your fist at God and blaming him, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm more of a Job. Not that I don't want that to sound weird. Job didn't. He kind of was like, I don't want to do
Yeah.
that. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta be careful.
Yeah.
It's me. It's just my personality. There's
Yeah.
not right or wrong. But if you are the fist shaker, the hand waver, the whatever, I just think you have to own it with God.
Yeah.
With God, and be real with him. Read
Yeah.
Ecclesiastes for 10 years if you have to. Now, be
Yeah.
honest, it's still our favorite book.
Yeah.
I'm rediscovering Jesus, and I'm still struggling with organized religion, I'll be honest with you. But I'm realizing Jesus struggled with organized religion.
Yes.
Jesus was so critical of organized religion. I'm not going to get into that because
Yeah.
I don't have my thoughts fully worked
Yeah.
out. I'm going to, in my
Don't worry.
newsletter
I'm
over
not
the next
asking you
few
any
years,
questions. Yeah.
in my newsletter though, I'm talking about it, just observations. Think about it. The sinners were super comfortable with Jesus. The woman caught in the
Yeah.
act
Yeah.
of adultery, he just is like totally vibing with her. I'm
Yeah.
like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Who is this guy? I like this guy. This religion I most times see and that I was a part of, I'm not vibing with that so
Yeah.
much. But Jesus, I love this guy. But anyway, back to your question. I think you just got to be real. You got to be honest. If you got to hire, you and sit there and let you say some crazy shit to you,
Yeah.
say it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
pay someone that will listen to it. Your
Yeah.
wife may not want to hear it. Fair
Yeah.
enough. She probably
Yeah.
shouldn't say it to her. Your best friend won't want to hear it unless you feed him 3 or 4 beers, and then he's too drunk to care about it.
Yeah.
Probably don't want to do that. Pay someone
Yeah.
to listen to your crap and say the crazy stuff. Go to a place where
Say it out
you
loud. And
say it
that's so
out
true.
loud.
Grievers need to
And
talk, but more importantly, they
Sharon,
need to be
new
listened to.
technique for you. Say something that's exaggerated.
Yeah.
Don't just say exaggerate. Just for a game. Go exaggerate. And once you've exaggerated, then you express your true feeling. It doesn't sound so bad. I don't know. Just a thought that came to me just now. Maybe even with God, think a crazy thought with God, and maybe say it out loud, or maybe sing it, or what. I don't know. All I know is what I did was I went to that dark place, and it was in the darkness. It was in the dungeon. The literal dungeon was the only place I could get real with God. And it probably says something about me that was the only way I could do it. But I don't care.
Yeah.
That's what I needed. Up in the mountain with earbuds on and singing songs that express my sentiments towards God, standing at 11,000 feet, looking over a valley. And I'm not saying I'm a spiritualist, just not a Christian and it's about the spirit. No, this is God-centric singing.
Yeah.
Because I don't just look at the mountains and the valleys and the granite cliffs and think, that God is in the mountains. No, God is God to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But his creation, it elevates me.
Yeah.
And it helps me to see, to be the person, the spiritual man that I am. So spiritually, what do? Get honest, I think.
Yeah.
And maybe just cling to Ecclesiastes for a while.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe you can't even read Ecclesiastes. That's fine. It's
That's
fine.
okay. It's okay.
Don't read anything.
Yeah.
Take a sabbatical. How long?
Yeah.
A year, 5 years. I don't
Yeah.
I don't know.
Did you ever have the thought, I'm going to just walk away from everything, including God?
Be a cool story if I said I did. I didn't.
You didn't.
I'm just too fearful of God.
Yeah.
And I don't think I just am. I Sharon, another podcast, we'll talk about, why this is true, but I really love God. Even if my life was a shitstorm, I love God.
Yeah.
Don't you love
Yeah.
shitstorm and God in the same sentence?
Yeah. But you have the right and the wherewithal to have it out with him and have the
Yeah.
conversations and go there and cry it out and do the thing. The one thing that I think that we need to understand as everyone listening, right? The ones that are not the active grievers or the people going through the grief, but the people that are sitting next to the grief, they're going to struggle with their relationship with God, and it is absolutely okay.
Yeah.
It's 100% okay.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, and I don't think I've shared this with you, but the one relationship that I lost my very, very best friend of 15 years, and she wasn't just my sister in Christ, she was my soul sister. And I didn't even realize what an important part, I say this and I have to explain it, that she played in my marriage, because she and I could talk for 3 hours on the color orange drapes to get in the living room. And so here we would just talk about them. We would go look at them and we would just talk and talk. And it was just so important. And she dies. And I said to Tony, hey, should I get these orange drapes? And he was like, just buy the drapes, Sharon. And I was like, no, I need you to talk me through it for 3 days. Like, I didn't realize that. And that relationship changed me. And that also changed my spiritual walk. And I didn't cry it all out, but I know that I am definitely still figuring it out. And so grief changes you.
Yeah,
and
it
changes
does.
a lot of things, and it can change your walk, and that's okay.
And to your question, some people may want to just throw it all away.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe in another situation I might have, but yeah, for me, it's just been so visceral. Faith in God for me has been so visceral from early teen. It just is almost like, and I feel like this is a blessing, but it's almost like it's like I have the gene. I just have that gene.
Yeah.
And it's, even if everything looked screwy in my life, I think I would still want to cling to God. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I think that's great advice, because people are going to understand that they have the right to choose whatever they want. It doesn't have to come. You don't have, like you said, don't read it if you don't want, but hang on to the parts. So the one thing that I know to be true, Ken, is if the walk was always there with God and you struggle and you go through the fight, it will come back. It will come back if it was always there. But if you were struggling before with your relationship with God, it may be a part that you need to add into your grieving journey. So just so profound. Okay.
Then the cherry on top for me was, of course, Lucas coming to faith. And of course,
okay, that was my next question.
And becoming a Christian. And I baptized him in my jacuzzi. Same jacuzzi we sit at these days. Married a wonderful gal that Danica.
Yeah.
They have a son now, who's a cutie. And but that was pretty cool. Is because in my story, I had in some ways lost my faith.
Yes.
And my son had never had faith.
Yes.
And in our journey, he came to faith, and then I rediscovered faith.
Yeah.
So it was symmetrical, and every story is not symmetrical. And I don't even share the symmetry to make the story more powerful. I don't think it does. It just, the story is what the story is, right? There's plenty of tragedy in my story. A man died. Come on. You cannot sit there and say, oh, this is so beautiful. Yes, it's beautiful. But a woman is without her husband today. Right now, as you and I talk, Sharon, she is sitting, I don't know what happened to her. By the way, it'd be my life stream to receive her forgiveness, but that's not important. But she's there, right? So there's a tragedy in my story, and there's elegance in my story. And they sit side by side, and in some ways they're connected, in some ways they're not. But anyway, the fact that Lucas and I could share a faith journey and to this day, sharing a faith journey is a beautiful thing. It's as beautiful as, to me, it's beyond my wildest dreams. I thought of all my sons, that just are not inclined towards God, it's Lucas, and yet he really leaned into God in his way, in a beautiful way. So that was beautiful.
Share with us, and let's end on this note here. How is Lucas doing? He's back. He's married now. He has his baby, and he's working.
He's doing well. It's hard. Life's hard, right?
Yeah.
He's doing well. As far as I know,
yeah.
Right. I see him a lot. We play pickleball. He's a really good pickleball player. Almost better than me. No, I'm just kidding. He can kill me. I got 2 points last week, though. I got 2 points. He's doing well. Lives 5 minutes from me. His son is really cute. A little blonde, just white hair.
Oh.
So it's, but we have a relationship, a normal relationship. He loves me, and he saved all my letters.
Yeah.
And we have something that few fathers and sons ever will.
Yeah.
Who gets this? Who could be that low? Who could see his son's lowest point, literally his lowest point in his life, and be there in that visiting room, and then see his highest point? I'll be honest, as Danica was ready to give birth, that was weird. It was weeks. I was just dying. I was like, what's going to happen? Is it going to actually happen? Is God going to allow this? And I don't know. You know how you think all those crazy thoughts.
Yeah.
And Luke's journey his faith journey is his.
Yes.
They're not going to church. I'm not going to church right now.
Yeah.
Me not going to church is a little different than him. He got a son to raise. I think they'll find something locally here.
Yeah.
If I was his age, I would find a church I could live with, and I think church can be awesome for for people, right?
Yeah.
It just doesn't serve me right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know your journey, but for right now, I love God as much as I ever have. I pray. I just love him. I try to minister to people. I'm now, and I'm just starting to. I'm coming out of a shell.
Yeah.
I've been in a shell for 10 years, 15 years.
Yeah.
But I'm coming out. I'm the old Ken that you knew, in the ministry days. Because I don't know. Sometimes you're gifted with a story, and you didn't wish the story. You never would wish the story on yourself or anyone else, but you're gifted with it, and you go, okay, what should I just put this under a bushel? Should I hide this story? I mean, I can, maybe you can, I guess. I'm not sure I kind of feel like I can't. And I feel like this is something, this was thrust upon me. And what am I to do with it? What I do with it, to me, matters. It matters.
Yeah.
It makes a difference. And to me, God would be unhappy with me if I just put this under a shade and kept it to myself.
Yeah.
I think it would be wrong.
Yeah.
It would be actually a sin for me to do it. Now, you may not feel that, and I know you feel like I do, but I'm just saying, let's just say a fictional Sharon. I don't know. I'm not going to judge what you do with your story, but I know what I feel like I need to do with my story.
That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. I love that we did this third podcast, because there are so many people out there struggling in their grief with their spiritual walk. And I think that you just gave them hope. And that is a beautiful thing. And so I want
And Sharon, if anybody wants my 2 cents, and trust me, it's only 2, write me a letter, email me.
Yes.
It's on my
website. And it's KenGuidroz.com.
Just say, hey, I'm a churchgoer, and what do you think? Whatever.
Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff, because writing about God is what I love most. Love parenting, love marriage, love life. But writing about God is the most intriguing to me, because come on, God is the great mystery in our life.
Yeah.
Come on. Am I right?
100%.
He's the great
100%.
mystery. He's the great unknown. And yet it's so fun to think about him.
I love that. Okay. So tell all of our friends where they can find you.
So it's kenguidroz.com. So my name.com, everything's going to be there. All my, this podcast, I hope you'll let me share it
Yeah.
on my site. This was incredible, Sharon.
This
You
was
asked great
so much
questions. And
fun.
I don't know. This was what I dreamed of. What you and I just did is what I
Yeah.
dreamed of.
Yeah.
Is to connect with somebody that I love. I mean, the fact that you and I have so much history.
Yes.
And your husband is the coolest guy. He's weird and he's cool and he's a man's man and he's just
Oh, yeah.
a knucklehead.
Yeah. And he supports me. I was like, I don't know. I'm nervous about doing this podcast. He's like, you got this. You get in there. You know,
Go,
Ken.
girl.
You know, Ken.
Tony would love this. What you and I
Yeah.
just talked about, he would love, and he
Yeah.
would connect because
Yeah.
he's the kind of guy that would need a dark place and Christian music to get real with himself. Right?
Yes.
Tony's
Yeah.
that kind of guy. He would never
Everybody.
sit there in a room and actually get honest.
Yeah.
Here's a guy that he wouldn't even think about it. And men struggle with it
Yes.
more than women in
Yes.
general. And so I hope my opening up. Anyway, so it's kenguidroz.com.
I love it. And I said to you last week, I always wanted to know what was the difference I was going to leave on this earth, because we should leave it in a better place than we found it. And I think you and I have found the differences that we're going to leave in this earth. And we're going to use this our personal ministry. And I just love that.
Amen.
Thank you for coming today, Ken, to share your ministry with me. And for all of the listeners. And I'm so excited to put this out there.
Thank you.